Returning to you from your local grocery store, this is Kurt Berglund with another Pine Tar Baseball Negro League's Great Team Set Preview. This is number 4 in the series, featuring today the 1942 Kansas City Monarchs. Pick this baby up at the local grocery store. The label informs us that this is pork with juices. What in the world is going on here? Pork in a can with juice. It sort of screams botulism to me. I don't know. Aren't you supposed to keep pork refrigerated? And what does the juice have to do with anything? I think this baby's going to the lab. We're going to get some answers on this one. The 1942 Kansas City Monarchs are part of the Pine Tar Baseball Great Teams Negro League set, available now on Kickstarter. The link to it will be below this video description. You can check that out. You can also check out Pine Tar Baseball at ttlbaseballgame.com. There are 12 teams in the Great Negro Leagues team set. There's 11 teams plus a 1-team bonus. That's already been achieved. The bonus has been achieved, so there's 12 teams in the set. Each day we are doing a preview video for you of one of the teams in the set. The video that we create for each team is not only a preview for you, but it's also a resource for you after you buy the set. You can come back to these videos and check out what you need to know about maybe some of these teams that maybe you don't know a lot about. With your Great Team set that you get from Pine Tar Baseball, you also get a PDF that I have written about each team in the set to give you some background knowledge about it, sort of tell you why it's in the set, give you the roster, give you a sample batting order that they used, and to tell you why this team is maybe going to win your season or tournament if you set one up for these teams, and why maybe it won't. Give you the strengths and weaknesses breakdown of each team. So let's dive into the 1942 Kansas City Monarchs. Hope you enjoy my theme shirt today. In 1942, here's what was going on in the world. The Philippines fell. 70,000 American and Philippine soldiers were routed up and forced to march over 60 miles in the Bataan Death March. Singapore and Hong Kong fell on Christmas Day. The battles of Guadalcanal and Midway dealt a mortal blow to the Japanese Navy, ending their advance in the Pacific Ocean. Britain began nighttime bombing of Cologne, Essen, and Bremen, Germany, with heavy civilian casualties. Nazi death camps proliferated in New York. 30,000 screaming fans fought to see Frank Sinatra make his debut. Italian-born physicist Enrico Fermi split the atom, greatly aiding atomic bomb research. The first electronic brain computer weighed 30 tons. Gas rationing kept Americans home. NAACP President Walter White met with Hollywood movie studios to complain about negative perpetuation of black stereotypes in American film. Casablanca, a low-budget movie starring Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, became an unexpected blockbuster. Top songs included That Old Black Magic and White Christmas. That's 1942, the background in which the 1942 Kansas City Monarchs played their season. Let's tell you about those Monarchs. There is in this great team set, there is a range of roster sizes in the Negro Leagues reflected in the great team set. from anywhere between 14 on the low end to maybe 18 or 19 on the high end, usually ending up around 16, and that's the number of cards that you'll get for the Kansas City Monarchs. Of course, finances were different in the Negro Leagues, and certainly in baseball generally in the World War II era. And so the roster that you get for these 1942 Monarchs include Hilton Smith, Satchel Paige, Booker McDaniel, Jack Matchett, Connie Johnson, Jim Lamarck, Joe Green, Buck O'Neill, Bonnie Sorrell, Newt Allen, Jesse Williams, Willie Sims, Ted Strong, Herb Sowell, Frank Duncan, and Johnny Dawson. There's your 16. Among Negro League teams, the Kansas City Monarchs were in the Negro American League. They finished in first place, and they went on and became Negro League's World Series champions. Statistically, for hitting, they were first in batting average, second in on-base percentage, first in slugging, and in pitching, they were first in ERA, first in strikeout-to-walk ratio, and first in WHIP. If you look at this team compared to others in the set, this is the first team that we've talked about that is really a sort of a heavy pitching dominated team, I would say. The World Series was played against the Homestead Grays and won by the Monarchs in 5 games. The games weren't terribly competitive. All right. This team was the best in 1942, and they were the best by a considerable margin. Big-name players having big seasons include second baseman Bonnie Sorrell with a slash line of .360 for a batting average, .402 for on base, and .561 for a slugging percentage. Willard Brown was an outfielder for the team, center fielder typically. .338 average, .373 on base, .493 slugging. And Ted Strong was the right fielder on the team. He hit .364 with a .425 on base average, and he slugged .561. This team can score a lot of runs. However, their pitching is especially impressive. Satchel Paige had a .212 ERA. Hilton Smith, also a great Negro Leagues pitcher, maybe top 10, top 15, was known both as a starting pitcher and as a very, very good relief pitcher. Booker McDaniel would be the third starter on this team, and he was also excellent. 6-man pitching staff for this team. Going around their lineup, there's a lot of ways you could do their batting order. I saw a lot of suggested orders. This is one that you could look at. Make sure you can read this. Willie Sims, left fielder, leads off. This particular order puts Bonnie Sorrell, Herb Sewell in right field. He was sort of their super sub. Ted Strong could play center or right. Batting fourth would be Bonnie Sorrell. Fifth is Joe Green. Sixth, Buck O'Neill. Seventh, Newt Allen, closing out his career or near the end of his career. Batting eighth, Jesse Williams at short. And batting ninth, of course, would be the pitcher. So those names, Willard Brown also fits on here. He would be another one that got a lot of playing time and was an important part of their offense. They had a few different starting lineups. Now, As far as their manager goes, his name is Frank Duncan. Compared to the rest of the teams in the set, why will this team win your league or tournament? Well, the thing that sets this team apart from the other great teams, they can all typically, for the most part, they can all hit and hit with power. This offense would be among the great teams, sort of a middle-of-the-pack team, maybe upper third in terms of offensive production. But the reason this team will win your tournament or league, and the reason this team is considered one of the best of all time, it's ranked third by Jim Riley, who was the author of the Biographical Encyclopedia of the Negro Baseball Leagues, is that their pitching is first rate. Satchel Paige was at his prime, maybe at the peak of his career here. Definitely an ace, definitely a stopper. Going to be tough to match him up against any other number one in the set. And then when you go with Hilton Smith and Booker McDaniel as your 2 and 3, you have the potential to be able to sweep some 3-game series or some playoff series. If you look at the defense on this team, they don't make errors. They have good range, but they don't make errors. This is a very, very fundamentally sound team. If the pitching is great, and this would be why they may not win your tournament or league, if the pitching is great, it may be able to control this offense. It's a little bit of an all-or-nothing offense. The top of the order is good, but not great. The meat of the order is very, very good. Willard Brown, Ted Strong, Bonnie Sorrell, very good meat of the order type hitters. But every team in a great team set has a good heart of the order. The top of the order, not as strong as some of the other great teams, but certainly strong enough to dominate their season in 1942. So that's where I'm saying that the pitching is really what sets this team apart and will carry it to success. And why, if you compare it to other great teams in the history of the Negro Leagues, it's the pitching on this team that will really make it different, set it apart, make it a cut above the rest, and I think is probably one of the reasons why Jim Riley picks it as a number 3 all-time. But again, once you get into the top, well, we've got 12 teams in the set, but once you get into the top 5 or 10 teams, the margin that separates them is very, very thin. This team could win it all, legitimately could win it all, might be the best in Negro Leagues history. Certainly one of the most famous. Buck O'Neil, everybody knows. Satchel Paige, of course, and this heart of the order that I talked about. Very, very impressive. So, that's your preview and background information on the 1942 Kansas City Monarchs today. Thank you very much for spending a few minutes with me. Check out the Kickstarter for the Pine Tar Baseball Negro Leagues Great Team Set. I've listed the link below in the description for the video. Check out Pine Tar Baseball at ttlbaseballgame.com. Thank you very much for watching and spending a few minutes with me. I hope this was helpful for you, instructive. And please click like and subscribe to my channel. Tomorrow, in the 5th installment of the series, we will take a look at the other Monarchs team that is in this set, the 1924 Kansas City Monarchs team. Hope you'll join me for that. Thanks again for joining me. So long, everybody.